Paul's been doing some bug control here among us here. These little stink buggy, shield-shaped entities here.
Chinese fruit bugs.
Well, they call them Chinese. They call them a lot of stuff here. See, we've got you got them crawling around here on the side of the house, and the wrens need to get on the case about this and take care of this. You got some of this. There were a number of them. There's some up there. There were a number of them that, of course, they were flying around and land on you. They're fairly harmless. They don't bite you or anything. So we got some more over here. I've heard various names for them, like Malaysian shield bug and stuff like that. So it's hard to say. Now Paul he was going to go into work at 10, but they called him in a little bit early because I guess one of the guys quit. Now we may hear about that here presently, but right now we're killing bugs. Well, Paul's killing bugs. I'm videoing. Now it turns out Paul's going to tell the tale of the day.
Well, our laundry guy quit. He wanted 8 hours a day, and he wasn't getting 8 hours a day.
Good luck on that, given the new, health insurance law.
So he quit. So they had me come in early. I was supposed to do 10 to 6 today. Then it went to be 9 to 6. But then our churro shows up. They got a hold of him. He's usually the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday guy. He shows up. So, general manager decided she didn't need both of us there soon, so I got to come home at 3. And that's pretty much it.
Well, there it is. All right. So you work tomorrow?
Yeah. It's 9 o'clock today.
9 o'clock today. Sunday?
It's 9 o'clock.
Oh, so you don't know for sure then?
Well, yeah, I do, because the new schedule's up.
No.
So my next day off is like Friday and Saturday.
So you work
straight through till Friday.
So
the next week.
So tomorrow's 9, right?
Right.
And then Sunday is
9.
9. Okay. And then
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is 8.
Yeah, okay. Well, there we are. All right.
Then I have Friday and Saturday off, which means I'll probably have Sunday, Monday off.
No, it's odd. Well, see, I think they're getting ready to. I think they're trying to, depending on how they call the work week and where they draw the line in their work week. I think they're trying to sort of do a practice run for keeping people under 28 hours or 30 hours for this medical insurance law thing. So.
Well, it's Sunday through Saturday is what the work week is.
Oh, I thought the manual said it was like Tuesday or Tuesday to Tuesday or Thursday to Thursday or something.
No, they run it Sunday through Sunday through Saturday.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So like if you get a Friday, Saturday off, I'll also get a Sunday, Monday off, which will be like 2 days off for the following week.
Oh.
Forgot.
Well.
Because they want Earl and I both to have like every other week.
Well, I thought one of these guys quit. Who quit today?
Marco.
Oh, okay.
He just started.
Oh, so he wasn't like an established. Well, I haven't heard you talk too much. You mentioned him, but he wasn't like an established character in the dramatis personae here in my head.
No, he just started. He's been there like a week and a half, and they were teaching him how to do laundry.
I guess he didn't like that, so he upped stakes and left, huh?
Right, because he and his wife both want to get 8 hours in a day.
Well, see, there it is.
She's doing it because she's working the kitchen.
I think we're starting to see the thin edge of the wedge here on this Medical Care Act in terms of, instead of it, it's actually going to drive employment down. It's going to drive employment down, but we shall see on that. So with that little political polemic here, all right. Hello, YouTubers. Excuse me. Joe Kersey here at 16:45 Eastern Time on December 20th, 2013. Now, I'm sure you already know that because I sort of got into this earlier, but I couldn't let the rest of the day go by without talking about this conversation I had with my ex-wife. Now, this is not done in any sort of mean spirit, obviously. It's just it's done in the spirit of reporting, speaking the truth in peace and love. So I shall try to adhere to that ethic. Now, she was going to go to the store here yesterday, the grocery store, which is, as the crow flies, about 500 yards. But she has to go up the street, down a little bit of the street, then down the street again into this outfit called Graceland Shopping Center in Columbus, and then find a place to park and then go into the Kroger store. Of course, the problem came with trying to start a car, and it didn't start because the batteries run down. Well, she doesn't drive it, but to the store. I mean, she didn't like. It's not like she drive. I drive my truck only maybe once a week. When I was doing Bible study, quote study, twice a week, up to Delaware. So that would have been, 30 miles each time I took it out. And within a week, that's enough to keep the battery charged. But apparently, if you only drive this car, this little Ford Escort car, well, it can't, in reality, it can't be more than a mile, 1.1 miles. And that's being generous here, guys. That's not going to keep that little tiny battery charged. I've owned a Ford Escort, so I know what they're like. One I had was the first model, and it was great, but it had a 5-speed gear shift. I'd take it over the mountains, North Carolina. I'd get 50 miles a gallon. It was great. No air conditioning. It was wonderful. So she called AAA, and indeed, they didn't send one of these big tow truck things. They sent one of these little Ranger type trucks, and a very large woman Faith estimated her weight at 300 pounds. Whose name was Queen, got out, and after appropriate introductions and everybody making appropriate noises at each other, I guess well, we don't really know what she did, because Faith then retreated into the house, or her condo, and left Queen to do her thing. And when it came out, when she came back out, Queen had somehow moved this, non-operative car out into the driveway. Well, I imagine if you're 300 pounds, all you'd have to do is lean on this thing, and it might slide out into the driveway, just by sheer physics of displacement. So she immediately typed in her computer and found out that they had indeed given her a new battery a couple of years ago, and this, that, and the other. And she basically said, put the charger that I saw in your garage onto your battery, or drive it, because that's the only thing that's going to prevent this happening again. And indeed, she has a battery charger. Well, it's one that I gave to my son, and then he gave it back to me. Then I gave it back. Then I gave it to Faith, and I've actually shown her how to hook the thing on. Yeah, it's a pain in the behind to do that. I understand that, but you got to do it. You got to do it if you want to stay mobile. So anyway, Queen got this thing fired up for her, and off she went to. Off my ex-wife went to Kroger's, and of course, as it turns out, Kroger's, like a lot of these grocery stores, starts moving stuff around so that, it's the confuse a cat principle from Monty Python. Confuse a cat. So, confuse them so that they have to wander around and find out and look at all the stuff you've got for them to buy, or look at all the stuff that you want to sell them, and maybe they might buy some of it. And so she wandered around and eventually found out what she wanted, but in the interim, there were a certain number of confrontations with middle managers that were also roaming around the stores, to the effect that, stop moving stuff around. Your major demographic is older folks that don't like to have stuff moved around. And and she raises a good point about that, because they get a tremendous amount of traffic out of these retirement condos and retirement apartments in the neighborhood, and you go and you start shifting these things around, the aisles around, and the organization of the aisles around. These folks aren't going to do well, right? Yeah. So she raised a good point. Of course, there was a certain amount of hostility and, well, unpleasantness that I had to listen to about that. And then when she got home, she actually opened up her email early, and she found this email from a fellow that she knows out in San Francisco. Who has a daughter who's very brittle juvenile diabetic, although the daughter's in her late 20s. She's still juvenile diabetic, type 1 diabetes. And then we had to go through the usual insulin diabetic seminar speech that I have to give generally each time that this issue is raised. So I did it. I gave the set speech. Oh, well, Well, maybe it took this time, and so we talked about insulin receptor activity, and all right, but then we immediately shifted into the effectiveness of alternative medicine. Well, there's alternative medicines that do no harm. There's alternative medicines that can do active harm. There's alternative medicines that are harmful. And so a lot of that category depends on whether you're on other drugs or not. I mean, in the absence of somebody being on no other drugs, most of these things are harmless, more or less harmless. Unless they're just absolute poisonous plants. But if they're interacting with other drugs, then that's an issue. And so since I've thrashed around with that several times before, I've decided not to carry on with that much longer. Well, I didn't have to, because once again, yet another topic came marching in from my interlocutor, and this had to again do with a little bit more of alternative medicines. And then I remember this great story. Well, it wasn't great for the patient involved. In which a general practitioner who had been in my medical school class had elected to treat her known colon cancer. Wasn't like she was just treating a bowel problem with this. Her known colon cancer with oatmeal enemas. Well, it's kind of like Steve McQueen going down to Mexico to get these Laetrile peach pit coffee enemas. Well, except this was being administered up here in a physician's office, oatmeal enemas to treat colon cancer. Well, one of the surgeons I worked with, well, actually, I did most of his anesthesia. He was an oncologist. Finally, this guy referred this woman, to this fellow I worked with, and he did what I called a field dressing. In other words, she was so cancer-ridden that essentially he pretty much eviscerated her. Needless to say, she died in the recovery room. Now, I will say, to complete the story, this fella ended up having his license yanked, finally, revoked. He was also apparently running a marijuana smoking room in the back of his general practice office. Whether that was helping these people or not, whether he was selling them this stuff or not, I don't know. But anyway, that's that. Well, so then we had a few more wanderings into snake oil salesmen in general, and collagen additives that are oral collagen additives as opposed to injected into the joint collagen additives. And had some elixirs, sort of pre-FDA Food and Drug Act 1912 elixirs and post-elixirs, post-1912 Act elixirs. And then we had to plow ground we didn't have to plow ground, we had to revisit plowed ground. And it's always revisiting plowed ground, and about watching a family member die. And this was brought up by the fact that I'd mentioned that our rector had gone up to mourn and deal with the death of this individual and that was known to his family as a family friend. So I had to so I had to re-explain to her the last few hours of my mother's life. It's just like, why? Why do I have to? Because I've, once you've told something to somebody 3 or 4 times, and it's clearly kind of a hard thing to tell. Why does somebody that you ostensibly think might care about you, or why do you have to keep doing this? I admit that from time to time, if you retell a story, new details come out, but this was not the case today. No. I had meant for this to stay a little bit more pleasant. Paul got home safely. That's pleasant. We have plenty of food in the house. That's very pleasant. So we've got a roof over our head and food in our bellies and clothes on our back. And as this fellow I greatly respected once said, everything else is just extra. So there. Bye-bye, YouTubers.